Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Sil Cooks. I'm your host Celintia, and on this episode I decided to put some drama back into my life via the theater. I'll talk to Robin Gibbons, Kadeem Hardison, Sheldon Epps, and the cast of Blues for an Alabama Sky at the Pasadena Playhouse. We'll also check in with the cast of the Improv Theater's Twilight Zone. Then head on over to the Los Angeles Theater Center and talk to Artistic Director Jose Luis Valenzuela, Sal Lopez, and the cast of Hope Part 2, A Mexican Trilogy. Chef and owner O'Neil Chabas talks to us about his restaurant Elements Kitchen. Then I'll take you back to my kitchen and make a pumpkin cheesecake dessert. So, on with the show.
Plastic ones last longer.
Pork bellies close steady due to speculation that demand for bacon-related products.
Read me this one, Daddy.
Okay, honey.
The less art kids get, the more it shows. Are yours getting enough? Art. Ask for more. AmericansForTheArts.org.
Passing gas in the presence of others is not only inappropriate,
That is so foul.
it can be deadly. Passing gas releases a fog of carbon monoxide
Grandpa,
and other poisonous fumes that can contribute to asthma and pneumonia.
you're killing us over here.
Kids shouldn't be exposed to secondhand smoke. Don't pass gas, take it outside.
The Pasadena Playhouse is taking center stage again, host to the new play, Blues for an Alabama Sky. I sat down with artistic director Sheldon Epps on how it all came together. And the first thing I want to do is ask you what attracted you to wanting to direct the play, and how did you get it to come here to the Pasadena Playhouse?
Well, we did a play by Pearl Clegg, who was the writer of the play, called Flying West, I think about 10 years ago. And I just thought it was a beautifully written play, so I read many of her other plays. And it was always a play that I had in mind as a possible selection for the Playhouse.
That long ago? Since 10 years now?
Actually, thinking about it for that long. And we needed to make a change in the season because of a casting reason. So I went back and I read the play again and was reminded of how much I liked it and how much I loved the language and the characters and the story, but was impressed with how timely it is and how much it deals with issues that take place in the 1930s but are still very, very contemporary. So it just struck me as exactly the right play to do right now.
Across, as far as picking the cast, did you already have in mind who you wanted for the play in your head, or did you just come across that, I think I need Robin for this? Or
A little bit of each. I mean, almost everybody in the cast I've either seen in a play or worked with before. Kadeem Hardison was in our production of Fences. I had just worked with Robin on a television pilot, so she was sort of in my mind. Tessa Thompson I'd worked with on a reading last year. Robert Manning has been in a play here. So I had an association with almost everybody.
the lovely and talented Robin Gibbons, who's starring in the play Blues for an Alabama Sky. And as she said earlier, there's a lot of things about the character that you did like, but there's a lot of things about Angel that you said you didn't feel comfortable with?
No, I mean, you know, it's interesting with people. They're very, I think, all of us as human beings, we can be quite complicated. So, you know, Sheldon said an interesting thing, Sheldon Epps, our director, who you've talked with, you know, in terms of just sort of you become the vessel for somebody else to live. I think you oftentimes hear people saying giving birth to a character, and in many respects it's really true. And you know, she's lovable, you love her, but she's very impulsive and she makes decisions quickly, and sometimes the decisions are major decisions, and she doesn't have the ability just to be still and think it through, and you know, those are the kind of things. You know, the mother in me wants to go, stop it! You know, take some time. You know, it took me so long last night to leave her, to get rid of her. I mean, I was still in tears, like, you know, I was taking and leaving her, and, you know, walking to the car, and they were still coming, and, you know, and you know, Sheldon said to me, well, if you're doing it right, I guess it would be hard.
It'll be your birthday by the time this play ends, so I was going to say happy. You are? Is it going to be like a Thanksgiving party?
No,
or?
You know what's so wonderful is sometimes, you know, you're wondering what you're going to be doing for your birthday. Well, my birthday's on the 27th, so I'm so happy to be doing this play. So in many respects, it's like the best birthday present I could be.
You gonna have a party on stage?
Yeah,
Are you really?
Good times roll. No.
Do you cook?
No.
So you're not
I'm a terrible cook.
Really?
I mean, I have 2 children. They're big and strong and alive, so I've managed to cook well enough to keep them alive. But,
okay,
you know, my family's from the South, so...
So is mine.
Okay, so it's like corn pudding and macaroni and cheese and fried chicken and collard greens and chitlins and and the food I love to eat, I can't cook. Turnips,
Gave my card to your PR person, so
perfect.
yeah, so we'll know where to get them.
Okay, I can hang out with you. And
That's right, and I'll give you my recipe.
Chef, I'll be set.
Right.
Can you do it by Thanksgiving, though?
I can bring it here for your birthday. Okay. Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. You too. So why did you decide to do this play? Because I'm sure you've been offered other plays before.
No.
You haven't?
I've done 2 plays in my career, both directed by Sheldon Epps, both here at the Pasadena Playhouse.
Both here. And each time it gets better and better.
Yeah.
And you have no
or at least I get better, anyway.
What's the most funniest line
The-
for you?
No, I'm not going to tell you the
Just
funniest
a little,
line.
just one.
It's not-
Okay,
it's
your
not-
favorite.
No, my favorite line isn't mine.
Really? Who's it belong to?
It belongs to a guy played by Kevin Carroll.
Okay, he seems like he's got all the lines from what I'm hearing.
It's the play is so well written. He says a line. He says, "If you see me in a fight with a bear, you help the bear."
Picture this. Upstairs from the Pasadena Playhouse, the Improv Theater is getting ready to take you to the Twilight Zone.
We do improvise plays in different playwright styles. For example, Shakespeare unscripted, Jane Austen. So we'll study literary playwrights and improvise a play in their style. So we'll study a playwright, we'll study the time period, and then it's completely made up in front of the audience. And I love science fiction, and I was looking for a genre that I love Rod Serling. So basically, it's just my love of the Twilight Zone. And as far as improvising it, we try to start out as regular as possible. We get something from the audience, could be an occupation, a location. May I have a mode of transportation?
Horseback, bicycle, transporter.
As improvisers, we're looking for the Twilight Zone portal to be something that is just it's just slightly off. Horseback. Help, but Smokey has a mind of his own. And then we go in.
There's always the distinct possibility that any one of us at any moment are going to hit a blank wall. But between the 5 and 6 and sometimes 7 people on the stage, some sort of information is going to get thrown out there to carry it along.
And a lot of us have been working together since the late 80s. So you've got that kind of long, decades-long relationship where you can work intuitively with one another. It's like a finely tuned sports team where you know somebody's about to drop the ball and you're there to pick it up.
The meaning of ensemble, I mean, we work on ensemble, that we are sort of one mind, ideally.
We'll be performing Jane Austen unscripted, so if there are Jane Austen fans out there, we'll be here in March, running through April 1st.
Had a wonderful time here at Pasadena.
There's a spaceship.
When we come back from the break, Chef O'Neil Shabazz and the cast of Hope Part 2, a Mexican trilogy.
Can I ask a few questions about the apartment on Park Street?
What was your name?
My name is Juan Hernandez.
It's been rented.
Hello, my name is Sanjay Kumar. I am calling about the apartment on Park Street.
It just rented.
My name is Tyrone Washington. I'm calling about the apartment for rent on Park Street.
It's not available.
I use a wheelchair and...
It's gone.
Hello, my name is Graham Wellington. I'm calling about the apartment for rent on Park Street. Is that still available?
Yes, it is. What is? Housing discrimination is illegal. If you think you've been a victim, call us.
Right next door to the Pasadena Playhouse is Element's Kitchen. O'Neill Chabaz, chef and owner, takes time out of his busy schedule to have a chat with us. I want to make sure I'm pronouncing. Oh, is it O'Neill?
O'Neill Chabaz. O'Neill Chabaz.
Okay, and what is that? Everyone asks me my name, my Celintia, and they're like, well, where are you from? I'm like, here.
My parents are from Cuba. I was born in New York City, so it's O'Neill Chabaz.
You're doing really well here, especially with the Pasadena Playhouse. When they have stuff going on next door, you guys get packed.
There's a lot of things that we do here at Elements that have become really loved and embraced by a lot of people. One of them for sure is the marinated flank steak and kimchi tacos. And we make everything in-house, including the tortillas and the kimchi that goes with it, the pickled ginger. And it's just an interesting marriage of a lot of different flavors and textures. And people really have just come to love them. So that's one. Our mac and cheese is another one.
I have to try your mac and cheese now.
Mac and cheese is really, it's sort of like what you remember when you were a kid, but a little bit better maybe, you know. It's really good. And you can get add-ins like truffle and mushroom. On the weekends we have it with lobster.
That's like gourmet mac and cheese.
That's all, yeah. So that's one of the dishes that has also become very popular.
How long have you been here at this location?
Nearly 2 years.
Okay, because your other location, was it on Fair Oak? Where was that?
Fair Oaks, right? And we were there for since 2005. We opened there December of 2005. It's going really pretty well. And but we always have room for more, so we love for people to come down. We have fun happy hour that we do every single day that we're open, which is right now currently Wednesday through Sunday. From 5 to 7 we do a great happy hour. We have our brunch, of course, lunch on the days that we're open as well. So and dinner.
And jazz going on
Thursdays, and we try to, we just try to keep it interesting.
Everyone I talked to said, oh, you got to try the tacos, this and the taco that, and the shrimp. Do you have time to show us how that's put together?
I'm going to let you see one of my
cool.
It's one of my fabulous cooks, Osmar Heredia.
Heredia.
You had to say his name right.
He's going to assemble a set of the marinated flank steak and kimchi tacos. And these tacos we make in-house. So we take the masa, we add toasted sesame seeds, a little bit of salt, a little sesame oil, and then the water. And then we just roll them into little balls, and you press them, and you just lightly fry them. The kimchi here, we also make in-house. And it's Napa cabbage, carrots, it's got ginger.
Ooh, giving away the recipe.
Yeah. It's good. I don't know if you really want to go through all the trouble of making.
Probably not.
A little bit of the spread. It's a homemade mayonnaise with garlic and sambal. Then the flank steak, of course, is marinated and then grilled, then sliced and chopped, and then sauteed again when we pick it up for service. Okay, and that's marinated with soy and ginger and garlic and sriracha and all these things. And then it gets the kimchi, scallions, and the homemade pickled ginger again.
Homemade pickled ginger.
Pickled ginger, yeah. We make it all.
Again, that almost seems like Asian influenced. Somewhat.
It is. This is the only thing that is Mexican about this dish is the masa and the name.
Right.
So they're not very Mexican.
Right.
We have a fun little holder.
I see that.
Yes. And we'll get those out. Let me get a little charger.
Okay. Okay. Has a nice kick to it. From the kimchi, it all comes together just great. Oh my God, I can see why it's popular. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
the Latino Theater Center will be taking center stage up next.
Go to jail for a gun crime, and your family serves a sentence with you.
The Los Angeles Theater Center has been a landmark of downtown LA for decades. Artistic director Jose Luis Valenzuela drops by to give us more on its history. LA Theater Center, is it still considered that somewhat? Or?
No, Los Angeles Theater Center, it's a company who started here in 1985, and they closed down in 91.
Right.
Then we took it over in 2006.
Okay, and how long is the lease, and when is it up? Are you guys
The lease is for 20 years.
Oh, that's wonderful.
That's for 20 years, so we still have like 15 more years to go.
Oh, wow. How are you getting the Latino community to support the theater? As far, I know marketing has a lot to do with it, but getting them out in general, you know.
Yeah, it's trying to get, all the communities. We do African Americans, the Latino community, just trying to tell them that we're here, that it's important to come, that the plays are for them, that we're talking about their issues, what concerns the community of colors and the different issues. So that's just, it's going okay.
Now, your wife wrote a play called Hope?
Yes, she wrote a play called Hope, which is part of a trilogy. It's the second part of 3 plays, and what it's doing is tracing a family from the 1910s all the way to 2005. Hope, the second part, happens in the 1960s in Arizona.
Okay. Now it's not a musical, but there's music in it. I was trying to...
Yes, it's a play with music.
It's a play with music. And what have you guys learned from your characters?
That the family experience growing up, no matter where you're from or who you're with, the family experience is really universal. That this play is a microcosm of most everyone's family.
I want to speak to the Latino or not American comment. I'm obviously not Latino, and for me it's just a story about a family.
What I like to know is, have any of you guys decided to do any recording individually?
I've been playing with for the last 4 or 5 years. We're called the Elevators. It's like a soul hip-hop band. So music is just something that's always been a part of my experience.
They're really good.
No, I didn't get to ask you guys, is there anything that you didn't like about your character or you felt uncomfortable doing? Or
of art is uncomfortable, and that's where you really find true beautiful art, when it becomes uncomfortable and it's challenging you to go to that place where you've never really been before. So
everyone got something from their character. They learned something from it, whether you could relate to them or not. Okay.
Relatable, really, though, because they're all so real. She captures so well what it's like to be an adolescent,
I wish you guys were going to be in the third one, but you don't know, so.
Well, the idea is that the same cast does part 1, 2, and 3 in different, like if the mother is in part 2, she's actually the daughter in part 1, or the child in 1, so it's as it progresses and the same sort of characters come through.
The kisses are great. I get to kiss everybody. Everybody. Have I kissed everybody now?
You can do it now. Veteran actor Sal Lopez has appeared in such films as American Me, Born in East LA, and Selena, to name a few.
Actually, the night before we opened, we had a long talk about my character because I really had a lot of questions. And normally, I have a handle on a character and I know exactly what I'm going to do and how to approach it and everything else. But in this particular case, there were some things that were left over from previous drafts. and that I was having a hard time with. And anyway, we worked it out, and now we're in the groove.
Up next, what has Robin Gibbons and the cast of Hope Part 2, a Mexican trilogy going?
Okay, get that on.
More.
You made this?
The recipe for my pumpkin cheesecakes right after the break.
You didn't make this.
Oh, yeah.
I can listen.
I can cook.
Good. I can coach.
Kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
I can drive.
I can paint.
I can dance.
A little of your time can make a lifetime of difference.
I can read.
I can help. You can help. Call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313 to find out about community drug prevention programs.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
To a child, a little of your time can make a lifetime of difference. That's why the Greenville Family Partnership sponsored a hike, because kids with something to do are less likely to do drugs.
Standing right in front of them.
Whether you're a good storyteller or a good listener, you can help. To find out about community drug prevention programs, call toll-free 1-877-KIDS-313.
I can keep a kid off drugs.
The holidays are here, so I thought on this episode I was going to make you guys a pumpkin cheesecake dessert, but I'm going to make them into individual cupcakes. So for our recipe today, 3 8-ounces of cream cheese, 3 eggs, 1 1/3 cup of sugar, 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice, 2 cups of pumpkin puree, and 12 ounces of ginger snaps. Okay, so let's get cooking. Okay, so we're going to preheat our oven to 325, and we're going to start making our ginger snap crust. First off, you need a blender because we're going to blend this and crush them down so we can make our crust. So this is what I have here. 2 cups of ground ginger snaps and 4 tablespoons of butter or margarine. This is a 12 cupcake pan. And all I'm doing is taking about a big heaping full of the ginger snap mixture and I'm placing it in the bottom of the pan, or I should say the cupcake liners here. So now that we have them all lined up, I'm going to put it in a preheated oven of 325 degrees for about 7 minutes. Let them bake and just set a little bit. So we're going to make our cheesecake filling right now. So I have 3 blocks of cream cheese that has already been softened, room temperature. Make sure there's no lumps in here. Make sure you scrape the sides of the bowl. And the next thing we're going to do is add 1 1/3 cup of granulated sugar. And 3 eggs. Now we're going to add our 2 cups of pumpkin puree. I'm going to put in 1 tablespoon of pumpkin spice to our mixture here. We're going to spoon this into our ginger snap crust. As you can see, I started 1. I'm only using about a 1/4 cup of the batter into each cupcake lining. Okay, we've got all of our cheesecake cupcakes all filled up, as you can see here. And that batter does make approximately 24 of these. So we're going to put it into our preheated oven of 325. It should be at a low temperature because you don't want the cheesecake to crack and all that other stuff. But we're going to put whipped cream on this so it doesn't matter if it cracks or not. So in about 15 to 20 minutes, the cheesecake should be done. This is what our little miniature cheesecakes look like after they've been cooled off. It took about an hour. Okay, if you don't have that kind of time, put them in the freezer after they've cooled out of the oven for about a half hour or so. You can pop them in the freezer for about, 20 minutes or so. But these are completely cooled off. So now we're going to make our own whipped cream. Homemade whipped cream, not the stuff you go buy at the store, okay? So what I have here is 2 cups of heavy whipping cream. Gotta be careful not to over mix this too. Now I'm gonna put it in a pastry bag. I know I'm getting all fancy on you, but this is what I'm gonna do. You don't have to do it this way, But I'm going to be a little fancy this time around. So I'm just going to stuff the whipped cream in a pastry bag I have here. If you ever used a pastry bag before, you already know how to do this. If you haven't, put a little bit in, as you can see here, and then you want to twist it, the top, with one hand, and with the other hand, you want to squeeze. Okay, so we're just going to pipe our whipped cream out on top of our beautiful pumpkin cheesecakes here. Not doing anything too fancy, but I think you got the gist of it. As you can see, look how beautiful this is. This is our pumpkin cheesecake dessert. Do something different for a change. Again, you don't have to put pecans on top or anything like that, but I just happen to like it. Something different for Christmas, Thanksgiving, or any time. So all you have to do now is eat it. Okay, I hope I inspired you guys to go out and see a play every now and then. I'd like to thank my special guests, Robin Gibbons, Kadeem Hardison, and Sal Lopez, artistic directors Sheldon Epps and Jose Luis Valenzuela, and of course, Chef O'Neil Shabazz for the delicious food at Elements, and you guys at home for watching. And until next time, hey, you never know where I'm going to end up. You guys take care. Sil Cooks, I'm putting drama back. Take care. Okay, so our cheesecakes are in the oven. It'll be about Okay, that's this episode.